Do you secretly wish you had the skills and ability to know exactly how a guy feels about you? What if I told you all of this time you've had a secret weapon at your disposal to know for sure if he's into you, but you just haven't been using it? Lucky for you, on today's show, we're going to be discussing 7 body language signs he's definitely into you. That way, you can know for sure how he feels about you before he even tells you. Welcome to the Players Club. If you're paying attention to me and everyone else in the live stream, please say here present so that I know you're here present and actively participating. Welcome all of you beautiful, beautiful people. How are you doing today? Okay. I see we got Sharice over in the TikTok chat. We got Chan, adorable. I saw Scotty earlier. There's Cheeks here. Utopi's here. Shah here. Christina's here. Magdalene's here. Nefesimi's here. Jay's here. Hazel's here. Hall's here. Welcome all you beautiful people in the TikTok chat. Over in the YouTube chat, who we got here? We got Ivy, of course. Is Cashley here? I believe maybe Cashley is here. I thought I saw Cashley. We got Lady Cream here. We got Tracy Niles here. She was here real early today. Who else we got? What is going on with my YouTube chat? Who else we got here? We got Taj here. We got India here. Luna here. We got Beatrix here. Mary's here. Camilla's here. And of course, we have Missy America holding us down in the YouTube chat. All right, guys, let's get started. All right. So first things first, I want you to understand everything we're going to discuss today. Yes, we're going to talk about body language. We're definitely going to discuss that. But body language is not just what someone tells you and how they speak to you or talk to you. Body language is also the way someone will talk and imply things in the process of doing other things. So you have to understand body language is not just, oh, he's going to come through and he's going to raise his eyebrow exactly 1 inch. And when he raises his eyebrow 1 inch, that means that he definitely likes you. You have to understand body language is a combination of things. In the process of saying things, you're also going to receive information through his face, through the way he positions himself, through the way he stands, whatever it is, right? It's all part of the body, okay? I just want you to understand that because some of these aren't solely body language. They're body language in conjunction with other things. So I want us to all be clear, all right? So first things first, we're going to discuss physical mirroring, okay? Now, something that you'll notice when someone is physically mirroring you, essentially when someone is physically mirroring you is when they naturally, and this is something that really happens subconsciously, so people aren't paying attention to it and don't think that the guys are so smart, they're going to be like, oh, I'm going to make sure that I don't show her off these signs because I don't want her to know that I actually like her and I'm actually into her. So because I don't want her to know that, I'm not going to do this. Don't worry about this. This is subconscious stuff that people do without even realizing it. I'm talking to you about it because now you're going to have the information. So physical mirroring is essentially when someone will begin to mirror whatever physical stance you're taking, whatever body position you're taking. Naturally, because they're into you and because they like you, they end up taking the similar positions to you subconsciously. So I'll give you an example of what I mean by physical mirroring. So let's just say, for the sake of example, you're on a date with a guy, and as you're telling a guy a story, you start to put your hand on your face like this, and you're kind of just seated on the table like this. You're going to notice as time goes on, this is very weird, but you'll see when you get real good at this, not only this will be your practice, okay? Your practice will be not just on your dates, but I want you to now, when you go out into life, I want you to see if you can spot these type of things in people having conversation and interacting with each other, okay? So this is an example of physical mirroring. Let's say you're on the date and your hand is up at your face and you're telling a story about your past relationship and you're just talking to him about what it was like and everything that went on. And you notice as you're telling the story, he begins to take the same position as you, looking at you in the same stance and body position with his hand on his face, the same way that you're talking to him currently. And it's so subtle, and a lot of people don't even realize that they're doing it when they do it, but it's because as he's having this emotional investment in you, what ends up happening, and it's very weird, I don't know why people do it, but it's something that people do, and he actually has investment in you and what you're saying, you'll notice that people begin to shift their body language in whatever position the person is that they're paying attention to. And a lot of times they'll end up physically mirroring someone that they really like, that they're really fond of. I'm telling you this because I've caught myself doing it myself, and in the process of trying to discover more things about myself and becoming more self-aware, I've noticed that I do this a lot around people that I really like. I'll be honest with you, not even just friends, but people that I'm really invested in overall. I'll begin to mirror them physically, and we'll talk about the emotional mirroring as well. Okay, so something to take notice of when you're on dates, or take notice of, see, a lot of these things that we're going to discuss today, I don't want you to just be taking them as a little, tic-tac, and you're like popping it and you're thinking, oh, I can't wait to utilize everything that Tomisin told me on my first date. And I'm going to be waiting to see if everything that Tomisin said is present on my first date. And if it's not, then this is all useless and there's probably nothing here for me. I don't want you to utilize the information like that. How I want you to utilize this information is I want you to go on your dates and in your talking stages and begin to take notice of whether these things are happening on a consistent basis or beginning to happen, or whether these things are not happening at all. Okay. And the reason I say that is because as time goes on, you're going to notice these happen at different points in time in different ways. It's not just look out for all 7 of these points on the first date, and if it's not present, then you have a waste of a first date. I want you to be taking this information in to your mind, body, and soul so that you can always be capable of better understanding how someone is communicating to you in a non-verbal sense. Okay. Lee said, is this only for the first date? Absolutely not. This applies to every date. And I want you to be thinking about these things so that you can notice them on every date that you go on. Why? Because I don't just want you to take this information for the next date that you have with the next guy to decide to yourself, oh, does he like me or not? I want you to be able to become better at being able to analyze and read people, because you have to understand, see, when you join the Players Club, you become very intelligent and very self-aware. You have to understand that in this world, people don't just come out and tell you exactly how they feel and exactly what they want. And the reality of it is that's just not the world we're ever going to live in. So feeling like you want to meet someone that's just going to tell you exactly what they think and exactly what they want, that's never going to happen. The best skill set for you to develop if you want to learn what people want and what they think is to understand how to read people, analyze situations, and take in a lot of verbal cues and information that doesn't just consist of what someone says out of their mouth, right? And understanding how to put all of this information together to better understand what someone is really saying, what someone is really trying to tell you, and how they really feel. What I'm trying to do is give you the gift of never being confused again when it comes to a guy, because we talk about the guy's mindset, we talk about body language, we talk about things he'll do when he doesn't like you, and we talk about things he'll do when he does like you. All of this knowledge is so that when you're communicating or growing a relationship with a guy, you can be less confused about what's going on and less shocked when 6 months down the line or a year down the line he confesses to you how he really feels, or the fact that he doesn't want a relationship, or the fact that he's still in love with his ex, and you're sitting here gobsmacked and you're asking me questions in our Discord like, Tomisin, please explain to me how this happened when literally everything was fine up until, he mentioned that he wasn't interested in me and he didn't want this relationship anymore, and I'm so confused. And what I want you to understand is you actually didn't have to be confused. And if you got better at being able to do things like that we discussed in the Players Club, and even more so the things that we're talking about in terms of body language, you would become an absolute pro at being able to absorb information from people, both verbal and nonverbal, make implications based on what someone says or doesn't say, and better understand how someone really feels without them actually having to tell you, because the reality of it is nobody's going to actually tell you. Let's just be so for real. Nobody's going to come out and tell you exactly how they feel and exactly what they want. Part of it is not just because people don't want to tell you, but it's also partially because majority of people don't even know what they actually want. Okay. A lot of guys are going to misdirect you. And I know some of you are thinking, but Tomisin, I want to be in love in a situation and in a relationship where the guy will tell me exactly what he needs and exactly what he wants. So I don't have to play this guessing game. Relationship shouldn't be a guessing game. You have to understand this. Even the guys that will come out and tell you what they want don't realize what they want. Because when they tell you things like, oh, I would love a girl who can plan dates and show me how much she wants me and show me how amazing I am and show me how, how seriously she takes this relationship. When you do all the date planning, when you do all the scheduling, when you do all the work in order to be able to like see each other and go out with each other, he only ends up giving you less. And he only ends up not doing the same thing for you. So you wonder to yourself, wait, but you just asked me for exactly what you wanted and I gave you exactly what you wanted. How come you didn't respond how I wanted? That's because a lot of people don't even know exactly what they really want. They know what's best for them, but they don't know how to explain to you what they want in a way that will elicit the best response out of them. Okay, that's a different story for another day. I just want you to be aware of that and rid yourself of that mindset. So mirroring is number one in the physical mirroring specifically, and how people will take shape and take mold in whatever stance or whatever body position that you have naturally in the process of having a conversation with you when they like you or when they're interested in you. Okay, does that make sense? Color Me Pink says they take everyone for their word. They need more emotional intelligence. It's true. So as you all join the Players Club, you'll learn how to not take people at their word, and you'll learn how to become more strategic at analyzing situations and analyzing people so that you're able to infer things and have a better understanding of how someone feels about you without them having to tell you. Okay. Someone says, what's sign number 2? We're about to get to that right now, okay? So number 1 was mirroring you physically. Now, number 2 is something really subtle that you probably won't notice, okay? Number 2 is what we call the look of approval. So when I'm describing the look of approval, you'll notice that when you go out with someone that likes you, okay, you'll start to notice this when you grab this information, that if they're talking to a group of people with you, they're naturally going to look at you in the process of talking to another group of people or another person while they're with you. And they're going to look over to you for some approval of whatever it is that they're saying. I'm going to give you an example because I know some of you are confused. So an example of that would be, let's say you go to a party with a guy that you like, okay, and a guy that you've been talking to. And let's say at this party, someone comes up to you and says, oh, Stacy and John, how do you guys know each other? Explain how you guys know each other. And John looks over at you and he's like, oh, so we met, I was at this mall and I was shopping for some designer clothes, and I seen Stacy at the mall, at the Louis Vuitton store, and I literally was just like, she's looks so stunning, and she was picking out what was the dress that you were picking out? Yeah, that red dress. And when she was picking that out, I was just like, I've been in the city for many years, and I've never seen a woman as stunning as her. I felt the need to go up to her, right? And you notice how as I'm talking, I'm continuously looking over, even though I'm telling someone else the story. I'm looking over to almost like gain your approval of this story. You were there, okay? So imagine you're Stacy. You were there. You know what happened. You were part of the story, right? But in the process of me even talking to someone else, while you're here with me, I look over to you while having this discussion with someone else for your approval of what I'm saying. Now, this is so subtle, and I know for a fact a lot of people won't tell you this one because it's such a subtle trick, and it's so easy to spot once you start being able to better understand it, okay? Because it's something that's, so for example, I'll give you a really easy way to get better at this and grow your ability to notice this type of stuff. I want you to start watching interviews with couples, married people. And I want you to notice how when married couples begin begin talking in their interview, because they're going to be sitting side by side while they're talking in the interview. And believe it or not, they're not actually talking directly to the camera. They're talking to someone off camera who's asking them those questions. You'll notice, and this is where you'll get so good at it because you've been joining the Players Club and your mind is working in the way that it should be working. You'll notice that when married couples are talking in an interview, they're constantly looking over at each other while describing a story that they've had or experienced with each other. Now, they don't need to, confirm with their partner who was there and they were also there that this story is accurate and true, but it's a subconscious thing that people do when they look to their partner for approval on what's being said or approval on the story or just approval overall. And it's in this subconscious thing that they're doing. It's a really telltale sign that you're invested in someone emotionally. You care about what they think. You care about what they feel, right? And in the process of you caring about what they think and caring about what they're feeling, you're always constantly seeking their approval, especially when you're talking about a story that has to do with them or just anything in general, right? And see, another even more subtle way to notice this is if someone, let's just say, even for the sake of example, isn't telling a story directly about you and him, but is also just telling a story in general to the group. And as they're telling a story in general to the group, you notice that they're constantly looking at you while telling the story. Quite strange, because the story is being told to the group and everyone is listening. So why look at you as if I'm having this conversation with you? Have you ever noticed or been in a situation where you've been in a group of people and someone is telling a story about an experience that they've had in this group of people, but it feels like they're just talking to you? And you're seeing them seeing you while they're telling the story or having this group conversation, but it feels like there's some sort of intimate moment being shared here between you two, because you're like, wait, but you're telling the story to everyone, but you're like looking just at me. You're not, you know how people are supposed to tell a story to a group of people and they're supposed to look at this person, this person, this person. So they're kind of like subconsciously including everyone in the conversation. If you've ever taken notice of this, right, when having a conversation and someone's really keen or interested in you, when they're telling a story to a group, rather than looking and scanning through the whole group, their eyes are mostly fixated on you. Very subtle, but you'll become very aware of it after a while. And when you become very aware of it, you'll be like, oh, so that's what that is, right? See, the thing about it is a lot of the things that we're going to talk about today, you actually have noticed it in a really, really small subconscious way. It's just so subtle that you didn't realize what it was. Okay, so when I talked about physical mirroring and how someone will kind of put their body in the same position as you when you're talking to them after a while, so it's one of those things that you have noticed, but you just didn't know it was that. So now that we're talking about it and discussing it, when you're looking back on it, you'll begin to realize, oh, that was that, right? The physical mirroring, oh, that's what that was. Oh, the fact that he looks at me for approval as he's telling these stories or as he's talking about something just in general, oh, that's what that was. I always felt something when that was happening, but now that we're having this discussion, Tomisin, I actually realized that that's what that thing was. Does that make sense to you guys? Right? Let me see here. Nina says, yes, and I noticed it on myself. It is true. See, a lot of these things that we discussed, so some of you might notice, like Nina just said, might have noticed you do yourself. So that should also be a confirmation to you that there is some truth to it if you've noticed yourself doing it as well. And like I said, not all the time you're going to be capable of being able to know that that's the thing. But when we talk about it, your finger will be on it. And then in the future, you'll be able to notice it a lot easier. Okay. Kubi says, if we girls were men, they would have some serious competition, I feel, and feel the threat to step up their game. That's pretty funny. Okay. Right. So it's very important that you guys gain a better understanding of this because the better understanding that you get of this, the easier it will be to read people and understand, especially the men, and understand exactly how they feel. And this is the best part for you as a woman. This is the most amazing part, is because you as the men are a little bit more emotionally stunted, okay? And because they're a little bit more emotionally stunted, it makes it a lot harder for them to conceal these things, and they're naturally just going to come out and say them, okay? Someone says, can you list all the signs out, please summarize? Absolutely not. If you want to listen to all of this, you can go on the YouTube, rewind it, and watch it 20 times, but I'm not summarizing it all for you. We're going into detail here. If you want things in 60 seconds or less, go find someone else to listen to, okay? I'm happy for you, all right? So, number 1 was mirroring. Number 2 is the look of approval. Okay. So, and number 3 is what we're going to call. So number 1, we talked about physical mirroring. Now, number 3 is what I want to refer to as emotional mirroring. Okay. Now, when we're talking about emotional mirroring, I want you to be very aware of how this works. It's subtle, so you need to understand how this works. See, here's the thing. When someone really likes you, really is interested in you, it will be very easy to implant an emotion inside of them. Because the same way someone naturally wants to mirror you physically when they're interested in you is the same way that they are naturally going to want to mirror you emotionally when they're interested in you. So you'll notice something, and this is something you can actually take action in. I want you to test this out for yourself when you go out on your next date, or, you see the guy that you like the next time. I want you to purposely go into that date and bring a whole lot of excitement. I just want you to like literally go over the top with it. Just be like, oh my God, I'm so excited to see you. I'm so excited to spend this time with you. Oh my gosh, I'm finally seeing you again, and this is so amazing. And I've literally been at home and we're finally on this date. I've been dying to go to this restaurant, and I've been wanting to try this pasta. This fettuccine Alfredo has been looking so amazing. I've been seeing it everywhere on TikTok. And I want you to bring a whole lot of excitement to the date. And I want you to take notice of whether or not he begins to mirror that excitement. Even if he didn't show up to the date super excited, what you'll notice is if a guy really likes you, it will become very easy to get him to emotionally mirror whatever emotion you're feeling. And so even as you're telling a story, this is another really interesting one. As you're telling a story, if you become really good at telling the story and you're telling him how sad it is and how horrible it was and how horrible you felt or whatever it may be, and now I don't want you to do that, but I'm just giving you an example, right? Or you're going through an emotion that you felt at a time in your life, you're going to start noticing on his face, he starts to mirror that emotion. So when you tell something that's really exciting, he begins to get really excited. When you tell something that's, a little bit more, sad and a little bit more tragic, he begins to look a little bit more sad and a little bit more tragic. And you'll notice, here's how you gauge if he's really interested in you. You'll note the easier it becomes for you to get him to mirror whatever emotion you're bringing on the date, the more you know that he is invested in you. Because think about this logic. Would it be easy for me to feel empathy towards someone that I don't know and I don't care about? Probably not that easy. Why? I don't know you and I don't care about you. I don't like you. I'm not emotionally invested in you. So when you tell me a sad story, it doesn't really make me feel that sad. When you get really excited, yeah, it might make me feel a little excited, but it doesn't really change me at all. Now, when someone I really care about or I'm really invested in is jumping up for joy and really excited, I feel that same joy because I'm invested in them. And so I begin to mirror those emotions in them. It's the same reason why when someone becomes emotionally detached from you, part of what you're feeling is the fact that the emotions that you feel are never mirrored by them whatsoever. Because when they become emotionally detached from you, whether you're happy, it doesn't affect how they feel. Whether you're sad, it doesn't affect how they feel. Whether you're excited, it doesn't affect how they feel. Whatever you're feeling is unaffected by them because they're emotionally detached by you. And so it becomes a lot harder to get someone to emotionally mirror you when they're emotionally detached from you. Okay, so something to take notice of when you're on your dates, which is exactly and precisely why I tell you to go on your dates with some excited, positive energy. Now, you don't need to be doing that over text, okay? We don't need you doing a whole bunch of work over text. I want you to be doing that when you go in person on your dates. Why? For this exact reason, because naturally, when people are interested in you or have even a little bit of interest in you, they're going to want to mirror the emotions that you're giving to them. And it's a very slick way, don't tell anyone, it's just for us in the Players Club. It's a very slick way to implant the feeling into someone that, wow, I really, really enjoyed this date. That was the best date I've ever had in my entire life. I can't believe how great how great it was spending this time with her. And they don't realize that what you actually did, don't tell anyone, what you actually did was strategically implant an emotion into him that you knew he would naturally feel if he had any level of investment in you and want to mirror. Okay? Don't tell anyone. Okay? It's the same reason why I also advise you not to go out on your dates and be telling him a whole bunch of sad stories about how your ex cheated on you and your ex did this and your ex threw you against the wall and your ex only jackrabbited you for 10 seconds because he nutted too fast and you never enjoyed. Like, don't tell him a whole bunch of tragic stories and trauma dump a whole bunch, because he's going to end up feeling the same way and the same emotion that you're feeling on that date. So he's going to walk away thinking to himself, damn, what a tragic human being. What a tragic lifestyle she lives. Wow, someone that definitely I probably don't want to spend too much time around, okay? Not to say that you have to hide yourself or hide your life or anything like that, but I just want you to understand how powerful it can be to get someone to mirror your mirror particular emotions of yours on a first date or first couple of dates, especially. Okay, right? I'm telling you this because I want you to know trauma dumping never works and it never gets you anywhere good. Okay, and I know a lot of you guys do that on your first couple of dates. Okay. Someone says, someone says I don't text him since I've been watching Tom. You shouldn't. You shouldn't. Okay. Nina says also synchronicities show attraction in my experience. Yes. I agree as well, okay? Synchronicities in all versions, okay? Because you can call a version of synchronicities even when someone will naturally mirror you. Or you know how people start saying, oh, after a while, this couple started to look like each other. It's just because as you're talking to someone, getting to know them, spending so much time with them, you see their mannerisms, you begin to mirror their mannerisms a little bit. They see your mannerisms, they begin to mirror your mannerisms a little bit. And then you guys merge into like one human being with the exact same mannerisms. You know how a mirror will, if you put a mirror in front of a mirror, it just like endlessly reflects back on each other. Think of it like that. So as I am invested in you emotionally, I reflect back onto you whatever it is you're showing me. But as I'm reflecting back onto you, whatever it is you're showing me, you reflect back onto me, whatever it is I'm showing you. And then it's a vicious cycle where after a while of us both mirroring each other, we start to merge into the same person. You see how that works? Similar to how a mirror starts to like just go back and forth and reflect back and forth until it's like endless, right? Does that make sense? So someone says, does mirroring in text count? No, this doesn't work over text. You can't see. The thing that you guys need to understand is it's close to impossible to properly elicit an emotion out of someone over text, simply because text doesn't allow someone to gain the context of being able to see your face, see your reaction. And you need to understand how subtle body language is and expression is as a whole. Like I don't want to get too biological here and scientifical here, but you have to understand as human beings, we have evolved to literally be able to read micro expressions. That's why the best actors in the world don't overact. Have you ever watched a really bad movie where all the actors are overacting and they're overly dramatizing these emotions? Probably some of your favorite soap operas or favorite, just daytime TV dramas that you like because they're so bad that they're good, is because the actors are all overacting and you're like, this is so overly dramatic that it's almost like comical. Because in real life, we're not that overly dramatic. And in real life, we understand that emotions and we understand that reading people, you're reading like such subtle expressions on the human face and within body language. And you're using a whole bunch of context clues to better understand what someone's reaction is or how they truly feel. We have evolved to be able to like read human beings like that. So I just say all that to say, when you're talking to someone over text, you're never going to be getting all of those micro expressions, the inflections, influctuation or whatever, I don't know how to say it, in someone's voice as they're speaking. Right? The way they talk, the way they might put words or a sentence together, the way they might look this way or look that way. All of these things are part. This is why I say we call it body language, but it's just overall expression, because you're not just taking one single movement or one single look. You're taking the look in conjunction with the words, in conjunction with the context, in conjunction with the situation and the place and the time and everything that's going on to better understand the human being and the communication that's trying to be communicated to you. Okay? Does that make sense? So texting, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. It's not, I never want any of you to take the information that we talk about in the Players Club and try to figure out how you can apply it to texting. Never. I want you to figure out how you take this information and use it on people in real life. That's how you're going to learn. You're not going to learn this by doing it over text. Never do that. Never. Okay? No texting. I'm forcing all of you beautiful people to step outside of your house and meet people, even if you just use this as practice to better understand things, going to parties, going to events, and now you can start taking, I want you guys, right? If you guys are thinking, but I don't have anyone to date to practice any of this on, so Tomisin, how am I going to learn any of this that we talk about? Because I don't know how to practice this. No one asked me out on dates. I want you to take this information and use this anywhere you go. Take this information and start watching people interact at the gym. One of my favorite pastimes is to go to the gym. I go to the gym basically every day, and I go to the gym and I watch people interact at the gym. And I watch how, because when I go to the gym at the same time every day, I see mostly the same people every day, and those people see the same people mostly every day. And so they create groups, they create communities, they create friendships. I just go to the gym and I work out, I stay to myself. But other people like to talk, like to socialize and things like that. So I find it fascinating. I watch how they interact. I watch how what signs they give each other. I watch how a couple interacts with each other versus how two people who I know like each other but just haven't said it yet interact with each other. I watch how people talk, how they look, how they laugh, how they touch each other, right? And all these subtle signs to better understand, what are you communicating non-verbally, okay? Right? PV says, what are the signs? I'm explaining them right now. If you want them in 60 seconds, go find someone else. Okay? We're having a whole conversation here. Don't interrupt our conversation, right? Me and all the members of the Players Club having a serious conversation here. So number one was mirroring you physically. Number two, the look of approval. Number three, emotional mirroring. Okay? Now, number four, this is where I say, so remember how I talked about, so we can call this stop pooping time, okay? Remember how I talked about earlier that when a mirror is in front of another mirror, that it's going to begin just reflecting on itself endlessly. I want you really paying attention to this part, okay? Really paying attention to this part. And remember how I said that essentially is what happens when they say, this couple, they're basically like the same person. They almost look the same, because it's like when you endlessly mirror each other for so long, you start to merge into the same person, because as I'm mirroring you based on what I'm seeing from you, and I start to develop the same mannerisms and actions as you are invested in me also. So you begin mirroring me back to me, right? Because you're invested in me also. So then I start mirroring that back to you, and it's an endless thing. So you start to merge into one another. Another really telltale sign, and this is why I say I want you to be taking notice of this over time. Another telltale sign of this is when someone begins to join in on your lingo. Okay? This is why I want you to notice this, okay? Because we all have ways that we speak, ways that we kind of say our words, ways that we go about structuring our sentences. I know it sounds silly, but each of us, because we come from different backgrounds and experiences and different ways of speaking, different accents, we talk slightly different. and we use slightly different lingo, especially if we're from two different cities or two different cultures. What you'll notice, and it's very, very slick, I want you to take some notice of this. What you'll notice is a guy that's really interested in you will start to use your lingo. He'll start to say things the way that you say them, or make the type of jokes in the way that you would make them, right? So when we talk about joining lingo, another version of that would also be joining in humor. So you'll start to notice that his humor kind of becomes your humor, and his lingo, or your lingo, kind of becomes his lingo. So let's just say, for the sake of example, right, you love to say, instead of saying but, you say dump truck all the time, like we say on the show all the time. A version of someone adopting your lingo and a joint lingo would be, all of a sudden, when you meet him the first couple dates you meet him, he doesn't say dump truck, but you say it enough that he's like, yo, why do you say dump truck all the time? That's pretty funny. But after a while of going out with him, you start to notice now he's saying dump truck when he's referring to someone's butt. So then you're just like, wait, that's my word. You got that from me. Or you might have known the word dump truck, but you was never using the word dump truck before me. Now that you met me and we've been talking, all of a sudden you start saying dump truck casually. And you'll notice that even when he's being serious with you, like not even purposely trying to like joke around with you or say something that you've said before, he'll actually use the same lingo as you, like in a serious sense, like in a serious way, as if that's his lingo. And then when you call him out on it, you just be like, I'm just saying the thing. Like, what's the big deal? But I want you to understand, people start to join in on your lingo when they're beginning to mirror you. So it's another version of that emotional mirroring, of a very specific version of that emotional mirroring someone's going to do to you when they actually do like you, right? Now, vice versa, this is if he likes you. He's probably not going to join in on your lingo if he doesn't like you, because it's just not something that people do if they don't have that level of emotional investment in you. What I want you to take away from this in all these examples that I give is that when someone begins to become emotionally invested in you, they're going to begin to subconsciously do certain things outside of their control without even realizing it. But that is your sign that someone is emotionally invested in you without them actually having to say this to you. Okay? Your left hand says a guy at work does this. Well. So now you have something to think about. So now you should be taking notice of this. So now I want you guys to, if I'm talking to you about any of this stuff and you guys are thinking, oh, there's literally a guy in my life that does exactly all of these things. Or for some of you, if you start thinking to yourself, I literally have a best guy friend who does exactly all of these things. Well, now you should know he doesn't just want to be your friend, okay? He might not say that to you, but he doesn't just want to be your friend, okay? Especially if all of these signs are exactly what he does. Okay, so joint lingo is number 4, and how people are going to participate in the exact type of lingo that you have and say things the exact same type of way that you say them. Very prevalent when someone begins to become emotionally invested in you, and because they're emotionally invested in you, they naturally are going to want to mirror you. Okay, does that make sense? My guy, Stage says, my guy started saying ciao to me when we hang up the phone like I do. That's another perfect example, right? Whenever you notice, this is why I say that this has to be something you take notice of over time, because not all of these kind of body language, nonverbal cues are going to be on the very first date. Some of these things you're going to realize as time goes on, just simply because someone's emotional investment in you grows as time goes on. But I want you to take notice of that, right? And take notice of how these things change or how they present themselves to you. Okay, so like Stage just said, if you begin saying bye in a certain way to him, and all of a sudden after a while, when you first met him, he wasn't saying bye to you that way. He wasn't saying ciao when you guys hang up the phone. Now all of a sudden he's saying ciao when you guys hang up the phone. Telltale sign, he's starting to feel something for you, and that emotional investment is starting to make him mirror you. Okay. Nina says, is this, someone says it's a joke. I was going to say, she said, is this pre-recorded? I was like, you should know. I just answered your question. It's not pre-recorded, guys. I'm here live for real with you. I really exist. I'm not an AI, or am I? Okay. So first, number 1 was mirroring you. Number 2, the look of approval. Number 3, emotional mirroring. So I should say number 1 was physical mirroring. Number 3 was emotional mirroring. Number 4, joint lingo. And number 5 is curiosity. Now, I know that some of you are like, Tomisin, that's not really a body language thing. This is why I say what we're going to discuss today, even though it's titled body language, I need you to understand body language isn't just, oh, how he moves his shoulders from side to side, that means he really likes you. Because without the context of the body language, without some of the nonverbal cues of the body language, without the situational awareness of when the body language is coming or why it might be coming, you won't really be able to have a good read on the situation or what's actually going on. It's not just about, how he raises one eyebrow one way at one period of time, because then you'll be thinking anytime a guy raises his eyebrows in any scenario, if a police officer raises his eyebrows on you, that means that he wants to take you out on a date. No, not necessarily. You need to understand the full context of a situation and how body language plays a role in each different scenario and situation with all of the other context clues as well. All right. So when I say curiosity, what I specifically mean is a curiosity to better understand you. Now, like I said, I know that this is body language, but you'll notice that there is a particular way that someone who is curious about you will go about your relationship in general. So let me give you an example of body language curiosity. Let's say for the first time ever, a guy, let's say after you've been dating a guy for 3 or 4 months, he finally gets the opportunity to come over to your place because he's been showing himself to be consistent with you and all that good stuff. So now he ends up coming over to your place. And when he steps into your place, he's looking all around at all the pictures, at all the paintings. He's taking notice of everything in your bedroom. Hopefully he's not laying in your bed, but he's taking notice of the things on your desk table. He's picking up stuff. He's like, oh, this is really cool. Where'd you get this? Where's this from? Is this a picture from the last time that is this from the time that you were explaining to me when you went to Niagara Falls and you were with your friends? He's looking at pictures that are on the wall. Oh, who's this person? Where's this? Oh, this is from your vacation. Oh, that's really cool. He's like looking around. He's picking up stuff. He's taking notice of stuff that you were talking about, right? This is the type of way someone who is curious about you will go about, just in the process of getting to know you better and learning you. Like they're going to be, someone says, is he being curious or being nosy, right? You probably both, right? But in the process, right, when someone becomes emotionally invested in you, they become curious about you and they love learning more about you. And it almost like brightens up their day any chance or opportunity that they get to learn more about you. Know where you come from, know how you've been, know what you're like, know about your friends, know about your family, know about your experiences, right? And they will bring, there's also a body language in curiosity where you can tell that someone is genuinely interested, or feel at least that someone is genuinely interested in learning a lot about you or learning more about you. And you'll start to notice that as they learn more about you, right, it makes them feel better and they become almost like ecstatic and excited when they're learning more about you. And as you're telling them stories or as you're giving them more information about where you've been and what you've been doing and what you've been up to, they begin to brighten up and lighten up because they love knowing more about you. It's the same reason why I tell you to do that on your dates, okay? And that air of curiosity that someone carries around with them when they're really into you is a sign of that emotional investment that I talked about earlier in the show, and why that emotional investment is going to show itself in these many different ways in the process of you dating the person and getting to know that person. So take note of that example because that's definitely something that could happen to you. And take note of if he comes over to your place and he's picking up stuff, he's looking at stuff, he's asking you about this picture and that painting and that thing on the wall and that thing on the wall, right? This is body language curiosity, right? As opposed to just asking you a whole bunch of questions, because it's easier to ask questions than to be genuinely curious, okay? Right? Teshwin says, what if he doesn't ask you questions about you, but ask your mutual friends instead? That's quite strange. That sounds like someone who's trying to investigate you rather than someone who really wants to know you better, okay? Feature says, I'd be like, stop being nosy. It's people who care about you and are invested in you can't help it. Okay, I just want you to understand that. And that's a good sign, because now you know, so whether it be nosy or being curious, people want information, want to know more about people that they're invested in. They don't care about learning more new things about someone they don't care about. You understand what I mean? Future says, my sugar daddy does that every time he comes over. Well, he's your sugar daddy for a reason. Why? Because he really likes you. He likes you and he wants you. Okay. He wants you and he likes you so much, he spends a lot of money on you. That's why you're his sugar baby. Okay. So that should be a sign to you that there's some truth to that. Does that make sense to you guys? Angelica says, I do this to guys I like. LOL, I can't help it. See, that's part of the amazing part about this in human beings, is that we're very different in a lot of ways, but we're also very similar in a lot of ways too. So you don't even have to take my word for it as if I'm the be all and end all of knowledge and I'm like an oracle that knows everything, because I'm not. Okay, I don't know everything. Use your way of knowing if this has some truth to it or not is by asking yourself, do I do some of these things when I really like a guy? Because chances are, if you do these exact things that I'm explaining to you when you really like a guy, there's a very high likelihood that there's a lot of truth to what I'm saying. And you can utilize that information to say to yourself, okay, so now that I know that I subconsciously do it when I really like a guy, let me be more self-aware of that and aware of that in general, that when I'm talking to a guy, or a guy is approaching me, or I'm dating a guy, let me see if I can pick out those actions in him, or if they're not present whatsoever, because that's also a communication of how he truly feels about you, okay? Why I say all the time, you want to be listening, analyzing, and observing way more than you're yapping, okay? I know that men that are curious about you are going to ask you questions, but I want you to be thinking about how you can not yap so much and start observing and analyzing way more, okay? So number one was mirroring you. Number two, the look of approval. Number three, emotional mirroring. Sorry, had a glitch there. Number four, joint lingo. Number five, curiosity. And number six, now this one is a little bit, I guess we could say more obvious, but number six is nervousness. So you're going to notice that a guy on a date with you who actually really does like you is going to be doing something to calm his nerves. Now, specifically, I'm not just talking about like sweating, because someone sweating is pretty obvious that they're nervous. But someone who's also nervous that's trying to hide their nervousness will probably be doing something like fidgeting. Okay, they'll be fidgeting with something or playing with something just over and over again as they're having this conversation with you. It's like an emotional pacifier. I know that it sounds really weird and it sounds really strange, but it's an emotional pacifier when you're nervous to be able to like fidget with something or play with something as you're having this conversation. It kind of takes, I don't know, listen, I'm not a scientist or a psychologist, so I don't know what it does to the brain to comfort you when you start to be able to do this, but I damn sure know that when I'm on a date and I'm trying to like focus on the date, or I'm trying to like get out of my own head, fidgeting with something in the process of having this conversation when I am nervous does help me a lot. Now that could be just me, but if you know that this has happened to you as well when you're on a date, then that's probably a sign to you that it's not an irregular thing. And it's a more natural thing that people are going to be doing when they're nervous, okay? And I've noticed people doing this as well when they're on a date with me. It's part of the reason, actually, why people like to chew gum to focus, because the process of chewing gum, having their jaw move over and over again repetitively, gets them to be able to like subconsciously focus on something else or do something else so that their brain is not firing on 1,000 overthinking. Okay, very weird, very strange, but it does happen. So for example, if you're on a dinner date with a guy and you're noticing that he's doing some weird thing with his fork or some weird thing with his towel, wrapping it around his finger, or I'll give you guys a little secret thing that I noticed about myself that I do. When if I went on a date and I was really nervous, I would always take out whatever tissue it was or napkin it was that was on the table, and when I'm having a conversation, I would begin folding the napkin and like ripping off corners of it and like folding it in different pieces and unfolding it and refolding it while I'm having this conversation. And it's something just really on, like, it's deep in my subconscious here. But as I became more self-aware, I realized that I always do this whenever I'm on a date and whenever I'm trying to like focus on the date, and I'll be tuned into the date. I'll actually be focused on the words. I'll actually be able to focus on what they're saying, but I'll be like folding up this napkin like origami. I literally mean it, like tearing off corners of the thing and just folding it up constantly, just fidgeting with it the entire time until it's like a shredded piece of napkin by the end of the day. It's just something that I naturally have taken notice that I do. So something for you to be looking out for, that when a guy's really into you, I know that we're going so deep into some psychology here and some body language cues here, but trust me, the better you become at this, you'll be able to gain a lot of notice of this, and you'll be like, oh, so that's what Tomisin was talking about. That's literally the thing right there. And you'll probably have a huge grin on your face, because as he's talking to you, he'll be like, why are you smiling so hard? You'll be like, I know something you don't know, right? And it's awesome because you'll start feeling like when you go out on your dates, rather than feeling lost and confused about how a guy really feels about you or what he really wants from you, right? You'll more start to feel like, oh, no, I get it. I see what's going on. I see how you feel. I see what you're communicating to me. You don't have to tell me how you feel. I know how you feel. Even if you don't realize how you feel, I know how you feel subconsciously in ways that you can't even explain. Right? And when you get really good at this, you'll start to be able to spot people that like you that pretend to hate you. Very weird, and that story's for another day, but you'll start to be able, when you get really, really good, you'll be able to tell the difference between someone who actually dislikes you and someone who fakes dislikes you because they actually like you, but they like you, they don't like that they like you, so they pretend to dislike you. Weird, but it does happen. Okay, that's another whole story for another day. All right, so that number one was mirroring you. Number two was the look of approval. Number three was emotional mirroring. Lee says pretend to hate you. Yes, pretend to hate you when they even like you. Have you ever had a guy diss you and that same guy is the same guy that says one day that he's always liked you? After he spent the last couple of months dissing you and making fun of you, and you're like, I thought you hated me. What do you mean you liked me this whole time? That's that. Number three was emotional mirroring. Number four, joint lingo. Number five, curiosity. Number six, nervousness. And number seven is what I call cleaning up or fixing up. So you'll notice that when guys come across you, or when you come across a guy and that guy really likes you or he's really interested in you, he'll really try to start fixing up, okay? Whether he's probably not wearing a suit, but fixing up his tie, making sure his, shirt's not wrinkled, sitting up straight, right? That's another real sign, right? If he's slouching, right, he's gonna make sure things are clean and pristine. Why? Because subconsciously he wants to put his best foot forward in this relationship. Subconsciously he wants to make sure that when you see him, he's all proper, he's all put together, and that you recognize that he's the man that you actually want in your life. So for example, if you're going on a dinner date, and when you're on this dinner date, a guy's like slouching over and he hasn't seen you yet, but you've seen him, and then you're walking over on this dinner date and he's kind of like hunched over, kind of just like looking at his phone, and when you show up on this dinner date, he's like standing up straight. He's like, oh, great to see you. He stands up, he's pressing his button in his shirt, right? He's making sure he brings your chair out, things like that, right? Just subtle things like that where you start to notice whenever you come around, he kind of fixes up. Yeah. So as I was saying, guys, my stock portfolio is at about $1 million now. I've made some really good investments, right? And it's just the natural thing that guys are going to do when they're really interested in you, is they're going to naturally just want to fix up whenever you come around. So take notice of, in a more subtle way, take notice of how a guy is when you're not around before he sees you, and then take notice of how he changes his demeanor when you step into the room and he can see you now, right? Take notice of that change, because that'll tell you if there's something about you that is actually inspiring that change, okay? The same way like we talked about, when someone's emotionally invested in you and you come around, he's going to want to put his best foot forward because he likes you. He doesn't want you to think of him as trash or as a garbage human being or as someone who is not who he likes. So Nina said it, right? He's gonna try to look very demure, very mindful, right? And really be thinking about what he's doing, right? He wants to be put together for you. Very demure, very mindful, very cutesy, okay? Making sure that he's doing all of those things for you when you show up, right? He's not going to want to mess around here and make the mistake of not presenting himself that way. Very presentable, okay? Very mindful, very cutesy, very demure, okay? Demure, however you say it. Does that make sense to you guys? Now, do you guys have any questions about what the 7 that we just discussed today? So number 1 was mirroring you. Number 2 was the look of approval. Number 3, emotional mirroring. Number 4, joint lingo. Number 5, curiosity. Number 6, nervousness. And number 7, cleaning up / fixing up. Okay. Someone says men are not demure. Is demure only a girl thing? Are only women allowed to be demure? I didn't know. Maybe I too old for TikTok terminology. I thought anyone can be demure. I didn't think that it was just a girl thing. Lee says your points were very self-explanatory. Thank you. And I hope you got something from it. Okay. Deb in the YouTube chat says, and if he smiles and laughs when you crack a joke, good sign. It's good. It is good. Now he could just be laughing because he wants to laugh his way into your pants. But yes, you're getting the idea. Squirming on the chair in a nervous reaction. Yes. If you can start taking notice of these type of subtle things, very, very good, right? Like I said, one thing that I notice about myself, I start to tear up tissue whenever I'm on a date or I'm nervous, and I trying to focus on the conversation. Just something very, very weird. Okay. Goose says it's a feminine quality, demure. Oh, okay. I didn't know. I thought it was something that anyone could be demure. Okay. Same way like anyone could be beautiful type of thing. L says, I wish I was here for the full session. Just joined. Don't you worry, L. I got you. Because I'm live on YouTube at the exact same time that I'm live on TikTok. So all you got to do is go over into my YouTube channel, which is just my name at the top of my head. And you'll be able to find this live stream, literally, because I'm live at the exact same time. And you can rewind it and rewatch it as many times as you want. You never have to miss a moment here, even if you came late. Don't worry. I thought of everything for you. Okay. So make sure you go watch that if you didn't get a chance to rewatch it. Dollhouse says, can't wait until next week, until we talk about that. Oh, wait, which one? What are you talking about? Something that I mentioned earlier. VWSV says, yes, I used to tease almost bully boys I liked. It's a thing that does happen, and it still happens even in the workplace, even as adults. Sometimes when people like you, they go and try to be mean to you, and that's their way of telling you they like you without telling you that they like you. It's very weird, but people do it, especially when they want to deny their feelings to you, okay? Can you do a video on men who have lost respect for you by you doing needy and what to do? Yes, I have a video on my YouTube that's titled How to Get Your Power Back. And it essentially goes through that, what to do when you've made mistakes in the relationship and how to recover yourself from that, okay? If you're a Gemini, does the nervous act still apply because they could be bored wanting distraction? Okay, I'm going to let you guys in on something that's probably going to disappoint some of you who are astrology nerds. You need to understand a lot of this like psychology stuff and body language stuff is not specific to any one star sign, okay? Before we're star signs, we're human beings. And so we don't become immune to certain responses and reactions because we're a star sign. Now, I'm not saying that astrology has no place in this world, because there is something very interesting about a birth chart if you've ever searched that up. I'll tell you that much. Birth charts are very interesting because the accuracy can be scary sometimes. But I just say that to say, don't get your mind stuck in a vacuum where you think, oh, I think the Geminis won't react that way because the Geminis just are usually tending to do this. Stop that. You're going to be so confused that you'll never be able to like read people properly. Let's start with the basic natural human responses that you're going to get from all people, all human beings. Let's massage those, work on those, and figure out how you can better identify those before we start thinking of, oh, but if you're a Gemini, you won't react this way, but if you're a Taurus, you'll react. Let's just, okay. Because you're going to be so confused and you're going to be so misdirected by whatever someone's star sign is. See, the thing about it, the thing that I don't like about star signs is you'll begin to start to look for whatever the confirmation of whatever that star sign is. So rather than being able to analyze behavior, you're going to be trying to pick particular responses or body language that fits the already existing body language or response you expect from that star sign. So for example, if you have in your mind that all Tauruses are hard-headed, rather than meeting someone and absorbing them for who they really are, you'll be so hyper-fixated on trying to extract the fact that they're hard-headed because they're a Taurus by meeting them, and then literally handpicking whatever examples fits that narrative. You see, that's the problem with that, is that you begin to create a narrative in your mind, and then you just start to handpick examples that fit that narrative without actually starting to learn and get to know the person. The same way when you have in your mind, oh, my soulmate is a Taurus, or my soulmate is a Scorpio, or my soulmate is an Aquarius or a Cancer, then when you meet someone, you're already, without you actually learning the person or getting an understanding of the person, you'll already be convinced that they're your soulmate. So rather than actually taking in real information, you'll be handpicking whatever information fits with the narrative that they're your soulmate. Okay. And I remember, everything that I want you guys to be able to do and learn to do in the Players Club is to be able to understand how to analyze and extract information and know how to use that information to better understand someone, not build narratives in your mind that you try to get people to fit those narratives. Okay. You don't want to be doing that, because that's been the thing that's been hurting you all this time, is when you go into your situations or your talking stages or your dates with an already existing narrative, and then you try to force that man to fit that narrative. It's why some of you are asking me, hey, Tomisin, why can't the guy that doesn't like me, doesn't want to build a relationship with me, doesn't want to do anything but jackrabbit himself inside of me for 90 seconds or less, why doesn't he treat me right? Well, the answer is he's never treated you right, and you've only been trying to force him to treat you right and force this relationship to work, despite him never showing you that he has any intention of making this relationship work. So that's why narratives can be so dangerous. And I'll be honest with you, while I do believe in astrology and the birth chart is really accurate and all that good stuff, sometimes astrology can become a narrative that you build in your mind, and you stop being able to analyze information because you want to believe in whatever narrative is playing in your mind. Okay, right? Sky says their character is more important than their zodiac sign. 100%. Okay. Not taking a poop on any of you guys who believe in astrology. I believe in parts of it as well. I just don't want that to become a narrative that you hold on to before you actually learn the human being. Okay. I'd advise those of you who love astrology, I'd advise you to meet the person first. Don't let them tell you their star sign so that you don't build any narratives about them in your mind. Meet them. And then after like 3 months of you knowing them already and getting to understand them and how they react and respond to stuff, then look into not just their star sign, look into their birth chart and take notice of if you already, the way you already understand them and know them, if that's in line with their birth chart. Okay, that's a way to do that if you love astrology. Don't learn their star sign first, build the narrative, and then decide that they're the perfect person for you based on the star sign. Okay, don't do that. Okay, does that make sense to you guys? I don't want to go too far into star signs. Trini says, which star sign has the worst breath? I don't know which star sign has the worst breath, guys. Okay, so Am said, I think learning body language is better 100%, because body language is something that applies to everyone. And like I said, if some of the stuff that we discussed here today, you start to take notice of, oh, you know, as you're talking about it, I noticed that those are things that I also have gone through or also have done when I really like someone, then that is your sign. You don't have to believe me. I'm not an oracle. That's your sign to be able to say, oh, then there's probably some truth to that. Because if I've done that subconsciously and I'm a human being, there's a large chance that someone else would do that subconsciously, and they're a human being as well, unless the guys that you're dating are aliens from Mars. All right, with that being said, it is time. Do you know what time it is? Can you tell me in the chat what time it is? I want to know what time it is. Can you tell me what time it is? Here we go now. I want to know what time it is. Can you tell me what time it is? Here we go. I want to know what time it is. Can you tell me what time it is? Here we go now. I want to know what time it is. Can you tell me what time it is? Here we go. In the chat now. What time is it? In the chat now. Tell me what time is it? In the chat now. What time is it? In the chat now. Tell me what time is it. I want to know what time it is. I want to know what time it is. I want to know. I want to know what time it is. I want to know what time it is. I want to know. I want to know what time it is. I want to know what time it is. I want to know. I have no more breath. Time. Yeah. All right, chat. Enough silliness for today. We're going to hop into the Discord where, what is that? Okay. We're going to hop into the Players Club Discord where all of you beautiful, amazing people get an opportunity to ask me questions in the Discord and I answer them live on the show. It's such an amazing experience. Okay. So let's hop right into the Discord here. Let me just make this a little bit smaller here. Okay. So essentially in the Discord, you have two options. So your first option here in the Discord, why is this doing that? Your first option here in the Discord is to send your question into the free version of our Discord here. And all you have to do is go into the link in my bio on TikTok or the link in my description on YouTube. And you can access the free version. But I'll be honest with you, there's about over 100 questions for me to get to in our free relationship advice Discord section. And it's probably going to take me, you see the oldest question here that I haven't read is a month old. So it's probably going to take me a month to get to your question. I'll just be super honest with you. Okay. Now, if you're patient, nothing wrong with that. Now, if you're impatient, you have another option to go into our relationship advice premium section where you can ask your question. And it's like getting a VIP pass at a theme park where you get to skip the long line and I answer your question first before I go into the free section. Okay. So you have a choice there. And if you want to get into the relationship premium advice section, all you got to do when you send in your question is you got to donate to the show. How you donate to the show is by going over to the link in my bio on TikTok or the link in my description if you're on YouTube, and you'll see where it says premium relationship advice. You'll put in your Discord username. You should have your Discord username before you send in your donation, and then also put the title of your question. So anticipate what the title will be if you haven't made it yet. And that way, when I go to my phone, I get a notification and I can see and verify that that's you. That sent in that question. That way it's fair to everyone and we don't have random people sending in questions that didn't donate to the show. Okay, so everyone that sent in a question here that I'm going to read in the VIP premium section has sent in a donation to the show so that we keep it fair for everyone. And like I said, if you're patient and you want to wait, it's perfectly fine. We'll be here. I'll be here. I'll be answering questions forever. Okay, let's hop into the previous section first, and we'll get to Anna. So Anna asked general questions. I have a few questions because I've experienced awkwardness with these. Okay, let's go. You say to get men to approach you, you should stare. Well, okay, staring, glancing. Let's say glance instead of stare, because I don't want you guys holding your drink into your hand and just looking at men like this. Okay, that's gonna be a little bit scary. Okay, I want you to let's do a glance, and we actually have a whole show titled "How to Flirt to Get Men Chasing," and it's a whole live show. So make sure you go watch that, because I talk about the nuance that you want to approach that with so that you can still be feminine, still be attractive, and attract those guys to you without you having to go up to them, okay? I disagree because I've heard so many guys call girls creepy just for looking at them for a few seconds, okay? Like I say, you don't see, this is where you have to practice this and practice the nuance required to do this right. You're not going to stare at people like for 30 seconds, okay? You're just going to look at them and glance at them long enough for them to realize, oh, you're looking at me. You'll also be surprised when guys realize that you're looking at them. They kind of like look away really fast. Like usually this doesn't even last for more than 10 seconds anyways, okay? I do agree it's fine to stare back when a guy looks at you first, but what are your thoughts on this? You have to understand eye contact is a very nuanced topic, because when you look at someone, you can also subconsciously take notice that someone's looking at you, and then you make eye contact with them as well. And a lot of times it just ends up feeling simultaneous. I promise you, as much as you're thinking about it, guys aren't thinking, oh, that girl looked at me first and she noticed me first, so that means that it's like, it just starts to feel simultaneous. When they can see you, you can see them. And I'm sure, I promise you, they're a man. So I'm sure if you're a beautiful woman, they have acknowledged that a beautiful woman is also in this room, and they've probably taken a glance at you before you've seen them. Let's just be so for real, okay? Sometimes guys will approach my friend when me and my friend are out and just talk to her the whole time and not even look at me. And then I sometimes find out from my friend, half of the time they have a crush on me. Okay, so you're saying that the guys that have a crush on you come up to your friend and have a conversation with your friend the entire time? It's a bit strange. Why would they completely ignore me if that's true? And also, what should I do in that situation? It's so awkward. I don't want to just, I think you might say, get up and leave, because it would be mean to my friend, but I also don't want to try to join in the conversation because I'd get ignored. So do I just sit in silence until the dude is done? Okay, so I'll answer this question before I go on to the next one. I'll admit that this is weird to go up and talk to the friend. If it's one thing to say, oh, I think your friend is cute, whatever. Okay, I would want to ask you though, what is your friend doing? Because this is a little bit of, I don't know your friend, so I'm not saying she's a bad person, but I'm curious, why is it, if this guy is communicating that he wanted you, which is why he came up to your friend, why is your friend not at some point communicating to you that this guy wants to talk to you? Okay? It's a bit strange that she would allow the whole conversation to go on and only mention it to you after. Right? And I'm not blaming your friend or anything like that, but part of being a good wing woman is if a guy comes up to you as the girl and tells you as the girl that, like, a guy says, oh, I think your friend is cute, and you don't know that, like, you're the girl and you don't know that, your friend is supposed to communicate that to you, especially if she thinks that that guy would be your type. That makes me a little bit nervous. Why on a regular basis your friend would only have a whole conversation with the guy and only tell you afterwards, because you're not supposed to just already know that. And also, while ideally the guy would just come up directly to you, I do understand guys coming up to the friend to ask about the friend. I get it, okay? And so I just say that to say, if that's really the truth of why guys are coming up to your friend, why is your friend not communicating that to you in the moment or at some point throughout the night? Why is she not giving you an opportunity to even have a conversation with the guy until literally there's no opportunity anymore? Very strange, okay? Unless I'm confused, okay? Sometimes men will talk badly about girls that are nice, and it gets me angry to hear the way they talk about them, and I always end up arguing with POS men. What is this? What does that mean? I don't know what the term POS means. POS men when I don't have the energy to. How do I make them feel stupid without arguing with them in the first place? You don't argue with them in the first place. Anna, I know that this sounds simple, but one of the things that I really love to get through your guys' head in the Players Club is that I want you to spend absolutely 0% of your time and energy doing anything that doesn't serve you. So if you're trying to build build a relationship with a particular type of guy who is the type of guy that you want to be in a relationship with, then all you need to be worried about is finding that type of guy and analyzing information and analyzing people that you meet to see if they're the type of guy that you're actually interested in. Everything else, don't spend your time wasted doing. So you're talking about how you don't like how some guys will talk badly about a girl. Who cares? If they're talking badly about a girl and you don't like that because you don't want a guy like that, don't spend your time even having conversations with people like that. Very simple. You don't need to argue with them. You don't need to explain. Your job is not to explain to people and tell them that their point of view is wrong or the way they go about life is wrong. Your job is to look out for yourself and to say to yourself, I'm only going to give my time and energy to the people who I actually want to invest in. If you're showing yourself to be someone that I wouldn't want to invest my time and energy into, I don't speak to you, I don't talk to you, I don't have conversation with you, and I damn sure don't argue with you. Why are you arguing with people that you don't even want to be friends with? Makes no sense. You say we should ignore text. Would it be okay to say if we have dates planned for the following week to reply to a text every 2 days? Okay, so this is where, Anna, you need to be taking what I'm saying with nuance. So when I say ignore, when I talk about not texting, what I'm specifically talking about is not using texting as a crutch to get to know someone. Because one of the worst things you can do is to get up on the phone and be texting, asking all the questions that you're supposed to be asking on the date, thinking that you're actually getting to know the person by texting them a whole bunch. That's what I don't want you to do. And when I say ignore text, what I want you to ignore is the attempts to have endless chit chat over the phone that doesn't lead anywhere. Because a lot of times when you give guys endless chit chat that doesn't go anywhere, they will become complacent in chit chatting with you over the phone and never actually take the initiative to ask you out on a date. Why? Because they're going to feel like they're getting to know you and talking to you over the phone. The problem with that is that doesn't get you out on more dates when he feels like he's getting to know you over the phone. You can't build a relationship with someone over the phone, and guys get tricked that way as well. So you want to take that off the table so that the only way he feels he can get access to you is by asking you out on a date. So what do you think he does? He asks you out on a date. That's what I mean by ignoring text. So then you go on to say that will basically give them only 3 message exchanges and they won't think you ghosted, because in my experience, when you don't respond at all, they sometimes won't follow up on the date because they think you ghosted them. And men with self-respect do not double or triple text if you do not reply to them. They just wait for your response. Okay, so like I said, this is where you have to understand the nuance. So if someone asks you out on a date, of course, they're naturally going to want to check in, make sure you're good, and they don't want you to never text them at all. So I'm not saying that you don't want to ever text someone and completely ignore them. You just want to do the absolute bare minimum that they understand you're interested, they understand that you are excited for this date, and they understand that you're looking forward to it, but you just don't need to be doing more than that. So you can even respond to a text every single day and be texting every single day. You just don't need to go so heavy into it that becomes your source of trying to get to know them. You can still text daily without the daily texting being trying to get to know the person. It can just be updates. Oh, how was your day? My day was good. I did this. I got this done. I had to deal with that. And, aside from that, pretty straightforward, nothing really major. There's a difference between that and saying, let me tell you about my last past relationship over text and send you a whole long paragraph about that. Can you tell me more about yourself over text, right? There's a difference between keeping each other updated and keeping the thing going and flowing up until you guys lead up to this date versus trying to get to know someone over text. That's what I specifically want you to avoid, okay? So number 5, you then say, you say we should do 1 to 2 hour dates for the 3rd to 4th date, etc. Wouldn't it be fine to do around 4 or 5 hours, but to cut them short? AKA, if you wanted to extend it, say, sorry, I have to leave. I think waiting a whole week for 1 hour is a bit too short, to be honest. Okay, so what I'll say to that is exactly. Exactly. Now, I would say you can do more of an average of closer to 2 hours, because 1 hour is really short. It can fly by. So I would say keep your dates around 2 to 2.5 hours leading up for these first few months. Why? Because like you say, waiting a whole week, exactly like you say, Anna, you got it. Waiting a whole week, seeing someone for only 2 hours is quite short. So what do you think the guys are going to do when they say to themselves, I saw you for 2 hours. It was the best 2 hours I've ever spent. I had so much fun. It literally flew by. I can't wait a whole nother week to see you for only another 2 hours. What do you think he's going to say? He's going to say, gee, I think we got to go out on another date in the next 2 days, in the next 3 days. I got to see you more than just once a week. So exactly what you're trying to extract, which is someone who desires you and continues to pursue you, is what you get by cutting the date short. And what you think that you're getting by giving him a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hour date is exactly the result you don't want, which is a guy saying to himself, gee, I saw you for the entire day. We spent 8 hours together. We woke up together. We had brunch. We had dinner. We had lunch. We ate. We laughed. We slept. We had a nap. You were there. All this time you were there. And he says, cool. I spent enough time with you that I'm satiated and satisfied. I don't need to see you for another couple of weeks, or at least a week. Okay? The same way, if you were to eat one huge, large meal, right? You're going to say to yourself, I definitely don't need to eat for the next hour, at least for probably the whole day, because I had this huge meal and I'm so satiated and I'm so full, I can't eat no more. Versus if you were to literally take one bite of food, you could literally eat throughout the entire day, because every bite never feels like it's enough. Okay? So I just say that to say precisely because you said only going out for 1 hour or maybe 2 hours once a week would be too short. That's exactly what you're trying to elicit from him. Exactly. Some excuses to cut the date short. You don't need to explain why you're cutting the date short other than you have things to do. Whether it be I have work tomorrow, I got to be up early tomorrow, I have plans for tomorrow. You can just, because naturally most dates are going to be at night, you can just say I have an early commitment tomorrow, whether it be work, a class, or whatever it may be, and I have to commit to that. I can't be out late. And if he says, please, 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 you say, no, no, no. There's more times we can go out and I'm not running away from you. Some men are going to try to push because they want everything to happen in one night. So they're going to try to convince you to make this date extend and extend and extend. You're going to feel so flattered thinking that he really wants you, when in reality, he's trying to speed this thing up to happen faster, right? And the more he can speed this up, the better it is for him. You want to be pacing yourself and you want to say, no, I know you want to see me and I know 2 hours wasn't enough. I promise you, there are more days throughout this week that you can take me out on a date if you really want to. If it's not that serious for you or you don't care that much, what will probably happen is you'll wake up the next day and you won't want to ask me out on another date, because the only reason you are trying to extend this for so long is because you were hoping to sleep with me at the end of the night. I don't want you guys to forget this. Some guys are going to do that, try to extend the dates for 8 hours, 9 hours, hoping that at the very end, they can kind of break you emotionally and sleep with you. Okay? So that's my answer to all of those questions. Next here we have Kiki. Okay, so Kiki says spaced out dates. Hold on, I don't know if I saw this one on let me make sure. Kiki. Let's see here. Spaced out date. I just had to confirm that this is your question. Okay, yeah, this is Kiki's question. It had a different name. Okay, so spaced out dates, anxiety. Kiki says, I had 3 dates with this guy. I do things professionally around here, guys. I had 3 dates with this guy. We're both in our early 30s. First date, his idea. Second date, I chased for 3 weeks. He was busy, then finally asked me out. Third date, my idea, quick coffee in the park during the week. At the end, he said we should do something again and he'll text me. Okay, so he said he'll text you. Now it's been 5 days of no contact and I'm going crazy with anxiety. Okay, so also, I want you guys to also step outside of yourself and ask yourself, how long has it really been? You've been on 3 dates with the guy, so he's still a stranger. And this all happened in the span of a couple of weeks. So you don't really know that person. I get that everything feels like the end of the world, but like, you don't really know that person. Now it's been 5 days of no contact and I'm going crazy with anxiety. I know I should do nothing, but it's eating me alive. Thank God you sent this question in premium, because I know if I waited too long, you're going to make mistakes. If your situation is time sensitive, guys, or urgent, please donate to the show, put it in premium. I don't want you making mistakes before I get an opportunity to answer your question. No pineapples yet. I'm keeping busy with my friends, work, and activities, but I really like him and want to see him again. How long shall I give him to arrange the 4th date? Being strong, and I won't initiate contact, but I want a timeline in my head for inner peace. Example, if he doesn't reach out for 1 to 2 weeks, move on. What do you think, Tomisin? How long can a guy go no contact if they're truly interested? Also, as we shouldn't have pineapples early on, any advice for dealing with jealousy? As I understand that no single guy will stay celibate while waiting for the girl he likes. So of course, he'll be spending time with easier girls for his basic needs. Okay, let's have a conversation here, Kiki. So you want a solid timeline. Let me tell you this. Realistically, 1 week is already too much. But let's give you something really solid that you can stick to. If he has not contacted you for 2 whole weeks, 14 days, okay? Do not entertain the possibility of him coming back and apologizing for anything. There is nothing so pressing in someone's life that for 2 whole weeks, they would not even be able to reach out to you, okay? Nothing. If he couldn't even let you know that something was going on in his life that was taking up all of his time and energy, which is why he couldn't ask you out on a date, if he couldn't do at least that in 2 whole weeks, that means he has virtually no real interest in you. Because any guy with any real interest, even if he was up to his eyeballs in things to do and work and all this stuff that he has to get done, he would be able to at least let you know that he's up to his eyeballs in work in the 2-week span. So to give you something hard and fast to really stick by, anything more than 2 weeks, have it marked down in your calendar. Anything more than 2 weeks, I don't even want you to allow him to apologize and return back into your life, because nothing after that is anything that you need to be bringing back into your life. At that point, it just means that he's not interested in you. And if he is coming back, it's for reasons outside of his interest in you. And you don't need to be making yourself a part of that or caring at all about what he's doing past that point, okay? Now, the second part of your question, when you talked about not having pineapples and how to deal with jealousy, this is the thing that you need to be worrying about. You. Don't worry about what he's doing with other girls. Don't worry about when he's doing it or how he's doing it. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't be curious, but I want your mind to be, this is dating is such a mind thing, and it's such a spiritual thing and a mental thing and emotional thing more than anything else. See, the reason that I say I want you focused on you is because I want you to come into any date or talking stage with the mindset that, are you the person that I'm looking for? I'm trying to evaluate what qualities do you possess? What character traits do you possess? And are those character traits and qualities in line with my already existing criteria of what I'm looking for? So the reason I say that is because you stop caring about what he's doing with other people. Because if you decide for yourself that I'm not going to be entertaining a guy who's going to be dating me but sleeping with other people, then your answers in life become very simple. If he does that, he's done. Very simple. Because you say to yourself, I'm not going to be dealing with the whole situation where you're dating me and sleeping with other people because I'm not making it easy for you. And once you decide that, you say to yourself, anybody who's going to be my man and that I'm going to be investing in will be able to be patient to be on dates with me without sleeping with me on the very first night. And if you can't do that, then you're not the man that I'm looking for. And do you see how when you change your mindset, right, and change it from, oh, I want to figure out how I can be more of what he wants and figure out how I can get him to pick me, and you change your mindset to, are you what I'm looking for? You stop worrying about, oh, does he not like me because I'm not giving him what he wants? Does he not want to be with me because I'm not sleeping with him on the first night? Does he want to sleep with other girls instead because I'm not sleeping with him on the first night? And you rid yourself of all of that fear and anxiety, and you just say, I don't care what you want. Are you what I'm looking for first? And if you are what I'm looking for, then I can start figuring out how I'm going to invest myself deeper into this relationship and into this person. If you don't show yourself to be what I'm looking for and you can't be patient with me, if that's one of your criteria, then I want nothing to do with you. So if you decide for yourself, like I said, Kiki, that a guy who's going to date you but sleep with other women is not in line with the type of guy you're looking for, then your decision is made. And if he shows himself to be that guy, then your decision is, you're not the guy for me. Please step away from me, and I'm going to wipe my hands clean of you. I try my best to help you all make your lives so very simple and your decisions so very simple. See, when your focus is on yourself and your focus is on what you want, your life becomes so simple because the answers to your question is, are you what I want? Yes. Or are you what I want? No. And then from there, you're able to move forward with your life when you answer that very simple question, instead of constantly trying to figure out how you can change yourself to be what someone else wants. Does that make sense? Okay. Lee says, how do we get our questions answered? It's available in the link in my bio on TikTok. You just join this Discord and you can ask a free question or you can ask a premium question. But if you ask a premium question, you just got to donate to the show, and that's available in the link in the bio as well. So that was all of the premium questions that we had for today. So let's hop into relationship advice, the free version. Now, I'll be honest with you guys, I have to scroll down and answer them first come, first serve. So I have to answer the oldest ones that I haven't answered yet first. So here we have a question by Shishi, or is it Shy Shy? We'll say Shy Shy. I like that better. That says, gym crush, I wish I just stayed a gym crush. Did we do this one? I think maybe we did do this one. No, maybe we didn't. Shy Shy says, hi, Tomisin. Thank you. I really like your channel. I'm 27. I go to the gym 5 times a week and I have a good physique. For a while, I had a crush on a guy who was 26 at the gym. And finally, after talking a few times, about 3 months ago, he invited me out on a date. Our first date was great, and we had some deep conversations. We went out 3 times in total and got very close once. He wanted to have pineapples, but I said no, and we just kissed. However, this wasn't this guy wasn't consistent in our communication. We heard this already? We did this one already? Let me see. Oh, yeah, we did do this one. Thank you so much, Ebony. You be paying attention. Let's scroll down because I thought I remembered doing that one. Okay, let's scroll down here into the next one. Sometimes they be highlighted and I have done in them before. Oh, this was Ivy's from before. Ivy's that says too chill. This was too chill from before. I answered Ivy yesterday. Okay. By the way, guys, if you have a question in the free section and you just don't want to wait anymore, you can always just copy and paste and put in the premium version like Ivy did. Okay, so Samantha says, questions all girls ask. Let's see. When do toxic men actually change, especially when toxicity and self-destruction is part of their character? Huh? When they change for a girl, does it last or is it just a mask? Also, can someone rekindle with the person who they were once in a toxic relationship with and want to give another try? In other words, can immature love become mature after giving an ex-partner another chance after years of breaking up. Also, they say once a cheater is always a cheater. If a guy revenge cheated on his ex in the past when he was 15 to be petty, does that make him a cheater who might cheat again? In general, he's 21 now. Okay, let me make this simple for you, Samantha. I know that you're confused, which is why you asked this question. You need to understand your life, while there is billions of men you could possibly end up with, you're not going to be in a relationship with billions of men. You're going to be, hopefully, you're going to be in a relationship with one man, unless you're polyamorous. Now, in that, you need to understand you're not looking for everyone. You're just looking for one person who's the right person for you. When someone shows themselves to be toxic or just, let's just say overall incapable of being in a long-term serious relationship, that's it. You need to understand that giving someone an opportunity to treat you right is their opportunity to treat you right. If they misuse that opportunity to treat you right, there is no second chance. The reason I want you to bring that approach to your dates and to your talking stages is because when you have that mindset and you bring that approach to your talking stages, your energy is going to convey that. And when your energy conveys that, you're also subconsciously going to give him a sense of urgency in dating you. You do not want guys to be under the impression that they can make a whole bunch of mistakes the first time and then get a second, a third, and a fourth chance. Because you know what that's going to do? It's going to remove his sense of urgency when he's dating you the first time. And so all the guys, not just this guy that you're talking about, all the guys that you ever date will always have to make 4 or 5 mistakes, horrible mistakes in your relationship before they decide to actually treat you right, if ever. And you're constantly going to find yourself in relationships where rather than the guy acknowledging how you feel and making an adjustment the first time, things have to become horrible and tragic, and you have to be down in the dumps, literally in the worst, most toxic relationship ever, over and over and over again for anything to change. Why? Because there's no urgency to change. Because he can just come back over and over and over again. So I say that to say you need to adopt the mindset for yourself. Everyone that I like will get an opportunity. If I like you and I think you're the person I'm looking for, you'll get a fair opportunity. If you mess up your opportunity, though, it's done. The same way when you go for a job interview, do you get to do the job interview over again? If you go to the job interview dressed sloppily, your hair is all messed up, you don't have your resume, your talking points are all horrible, you don't know what you're saying, you don't remember what this job is supposed to be, you don't remember how your education fits in, you're getting everything wrong in the job interview. Do you get to email the recruiter and ask them to do the job interview over again because you just had a bad day? No. They move on and they go find someone else who will be a good candidate and get the job interview right the first time. So I say that to say, if people don't let you redo job interviews and they move on to a better candidate, why the hell are you allowing people to come into your life, and make a whole bunch of mistakes, treat you horribly, and then get a second and third chance because people can change? Yeah, theoretically, you could also have a better job interview that could get you the job, but you don't get multiple chances, do you? You only get one. Apply that same concept and mindset to all of your relationships. Who cares what other people are doing or if people change or whatever the case may be? You're not here to wait for someone to change into the person you're looking for. You're looking for someone who is the person you're looking for, point blank, period. If you can't be that, too bad, so sad. Does the recruiter cry you a whole bunch of tears when you don't get the job? No! They move on to the person who will get the job. And they don't feel sorry for you for not getting the job and doing the interview right. Apply the same thing for yourself. Okay? Now, as you talk about being once a cheater, always a cheater, same thing applies. If someone is not what you're looking for, decide that and say, I'm not going to spend any of my time or energy on you. Now, if someone's a cheater, of course, that requires nuance. And in not every situation, someone that has cheated would necessarily cheat on you. Although I don't want you to have the mindset that when someone tells you all the horrible things that they did, they're not capable of doing that to you. Because I'll let you in on a secret. How you get them is how you lose them. And a lot of times people are, human beings are more likely to exhibit patterns than they are to exhibit 180 day and night changes. Some people do change, but that's a very small minority of people. Majority of people stay the same and act the same throughout their entire relationship. So if you wanted me to give you advice based on statistics, based on mathematical probabilities, you're more probable to meet someone who will cheat on you also if they've done that in the past than you are to meet someone who's cheated in the past and all of a sudden is so evolved and matured and different. So based on probability, I would advise you to just assume that if someone you meet has cheated in the past, they would likely cheat on you as well if you want to avoid heartbreak based on probability. Okay? I'll just break it down to you like that. So next here we have, let's see, we have here Notorious MJT, like Notorious B.I.G. MJT. Notorious MJT says, oopsies. Hi, Tomisin. I have a bit of a situation. I met this guy on Bumble. Don't worry, I deleted the app already. Let's call him ZZ. He's Nigerian. I'm Nigerian, so now I'm worried. We chatted on Bumble for about a month, then decided to meet up. We had great conversations and he spoke to me about his ex-wife and how the relationship ended. It got really deep, and I shared about my ex-husband. I'm glad you got him to share about his ex-wife, but I wish you would have just continued asking questions about him. After a few hours of yapping, we said goodbye and we hugged. Then he kissed me. Then it turned into nonstop making out. This is why I say it can be a great gateway drug. Then he took my top off and I took his pants off. Let's just say things went south fast. What do I tell you guys? First of all, avoid gateway drugs. Second of all, go get you the Tracy's Dog tool, and the link's in my description. I literally made that affiliate link and got that discount for you guys so that you can get that tool, satisfy yourself so that you're not horned up on dates. I literally did that because this has been such a problem. Now, the other thing is if one of your gateway drugs is making out with someone, and when you kiss them and they start touching on you and they start, rubbing their tongue on yours, you can't control yourself. Don't even bother starting to kiss and make out with someone. I really mean that, because the gateway drugs is an easy way for you to say, oh, well, I'll just do the next thing. And then you escalate and then you end up doing this. So it's better to just avoid it overall if you know you don't have the self-control. I am actually so dead serious with this, because exactly this happens. And what do I also tell you guys? If you're taking your pants off, mistake. If you're taking your shirt off, mistake. If he's taking his pants off, huge mistake. None of that should be coming off at all, okay? So avoid that at all costs. And if you know when you go over to his place and you start drinking wine, the wine goes straight to your squirtle and in between your legs and you become really lubricated really fast, don't even bother going over to his place and drinking wine. Avoid what we call landmines. Like, be self-aware and say to yourself, what are the easiest ways to get me emotionally weak really fast? Let me not do those things. Okay? We did other things, but no pineapples, as you popped into my head. I'm in your mind as you're slurping this man off? What type of message is this? What type of message is this? Are you trying to disrespect me? You're thinking about me while you're slurping another man off? What type of message is this? I told him best to wait, and then we said goodbye. He has been texting and calling every day since, but no talk about meeting up. So I felt like a pen pal. I'm also pineapple-y frustrated. Never been a toy girl. I promise you that Tracy's Dog will change your life, whether you're a clit girl or a penetration girl. I promise you. Don't ask me how I know. So I looked into my other options and started talking to a guy, let's call him LB, also Nigerian. You might want to make a change here. Never mind. Roughly a month of talking before meeting up. Still talking on the phone with ZZ at the time. So now you have multiple men you're juggling now. Okay. He's a music artist. Nigerian and a music artist. Nice. I really like that he's confident and his music made me look so hot. So hot. Anywho, we watch a movie and yap till the morning and he went home. Okay, so another mistake, having a date for like 18 hours. Not a good thing, especially at the very beginning. We text every day for a while, and today he wanted to meet up for another movie. So we watched a movie, and when the movie finished, he started to have wandering hands that led to my pants. Once again, be self-aware enough to understand, okay, what are the ways that I will become emotionally weak? Let me avoid those. No diss to you, Notorious MJT. I would advise you not even to go over to people's houses. I'm just being so for real with you. It's not to diss you. Like you said, this is what you go on to say. I'm ovulating. When I ovulate, I have no self-control. We had pineapples. I thought so. You need to not even be going over to men's houses. I really mean that. Because, not to diss you, you have a lack of self-control. And when you're in the private space, it becomes very easy to just succumb to all of your temptations. When you start kissing someone, making out with them, you literally mixed it up in a horrible soup, and it's like a literally let's sleep together jambalaya, and you put it all together perfectly for yourself. You're ovulating, you go over to his house, and you're watching a movie cuddled up under some blankets. What do you think is going to end up? And you're probably drinking wine or taking shots or whatever, making drinks with each other, whatever. What do you think is going to happen when you mix all of those things all in one big jambalaya soup? And so I say that to say, I think the best thing for you to realize is, if I really like a guy, I don't even need to be going over to his place. I really mean that. I really mean that. Because you just need to accept for yourself, if I have that little self-control, let me not even put myself in that position if I'm really serious about building this relationship. Because this is guy number 2. So you slurped off guy number 1 while thinking of me. I don't know why you added that. You're slurping off guy number 1 while thinking of me and our show. Guy number 2, while you're still kind of chatting with guy number 1, guy number 2, now you sleep with him after going on, this is the second time, not even going on a date. This is just your second time over at his house, because we can't even call that a date. What do you think guy number 2 is going to think of you? You then go on to say, after pineapples, he was showing me a few of his friends on IG. What's going on here? And ZZ was in the list of friends. He even said, oh, that's ZZ. Oh, God. You know you done messed up, right? Notorious, you know you done messed up, right? You know you're cooked, right? Do you know that? Do you know that you're cooked? You're well done. You're cooked. It's tragic for me because before I thought that he knew. I'm glitching. I have the hiccups now because of you. It's tragic, Notorious, because before I was literally saying that at the very least, guy number 2 doesn't know that you slurped off guy number 1 just, how many days before. Even worse for you than sleeping with the guy on the second time meeting him or seeing him. Even worse for you, when he goes and talks to his friend, he'll realize a couple days before he slept with you, you slurped off his friend. Now you're literally cooked. You like at this point, when you realize this, I really mean this. You should have just gotten up and said to yourself, you know what? Touche. I tried to play the game and I lost. And just realize to yourself, there is nothing left for you here other than to be like a girl who just gets utilized by both of them. Because there is no like universe in which now he's going to take you seriously. I mean, eventually he's going to find this out one way or another. So you might as well just say to yourself, you know what? Neither of you are going to date me. I'm wasting my time even bothering trying to get anything out of this at this point. And you might as well just get up and just say, you know what? I lost this one. I took an L on this one. I'll make sure to be better the next time. Because you're cooked. You're just done for you. You're cooked now. My heart dropped because I actually really like ZZ and want something to grow from ZZ and I situation. Nothing's gonna grow. Just get over that. Rid yourself of that. I really mean it. Rid yourself of that, and that way you can actually like move on. I really mean that because there's nothing left for you there once he finds out. But I live in a place where all the African people know each other, and I'm African myself. I should have known they know each other. But LB has only been in the country for 1 year. I thought it would be a safe option. You thought so, right? You thought so. So you see how ovulation, someone says ovulation, Arita says ovulation won this round. Precisely. I kept quiet and acted like I didn't know who he was showing me. You know what? The reason I say get up is because there's no win here. Doing that makes it still horrible. In fact, probably more horrible because one or both of them are going to realize that they both did stuff with you in very close succession. And when they do realize that, literally you're so cooked, it's crazy. I actually think if you even wanted to salvage this, the best way to do it is to get ahead of it. Ignoring it makes it way worse. Well, we watched a few I think you meant to say music videos he makes, and then he told me and then I told him that I was tired and we said goodbye. So now what the hell do? I'm panicking. I really didn't want ZZ to find out. Does this even matter as I'm not in a relationship with ZZ? Please help if you can. I'm so effed. I'm so effed. I feel like puking thinking about this situation right now. I don't usually do this, but I haven't had pineapples in so long. Thank you so much, MJ, says MJT. So I think this is because this was over a month ago, right? And so you kind of said you've been in contact, he's been supporting me, and I just found out my aunt is dying from cancer. He still visits to check up on me, and LB, I didn't hear from him, but he texted me saying he's sorry. He's been AWOL, as he's been busy with a few music projects, which I just responded, okay. I don't have intentions to continue anything with LB, now even more, so I don't like the disappearing and reappearing acts. Okay, Notorious. So for you, I really honestly believe that the best thing for you to do here is, if you like ZZ, tell ZZ what happened. I know that you sent this message in a month ago, so probably a lot has transpired in that month. I would love for you to hop into Relationship Premium, donate to the show. And that way we can get a quick update on what's been going on. But Notorious, I really think that if you want anything from ZZ, you got to be upfront with him, because the worst thing to happen is for him to find this out after the fact. Well, just find this out through guys or through the other guy. Worst thing to happen. And the reality of it is, there's a very high likelihood that when you do tell him that, he's going to stop taking you seriously, and you're going to notice a shift in his approach and behavior towards you. It's unfortunate, but you got to understand you're going to win some and you're going to lose some. Use this as a lesson to understand that the best thing for you to always, you will never, I want you guys to all hear this. You will never, ever lose by being more patient. Never. You will never lose by being more patient. You will always lose when you jump into something before you gather all of the information. Because when you jump into something before making, this is just in general, when you jump into something without gathering all the information first, you will always be saying to yourself, damn, if I could have just redone that, I would have redone it. Or if I would have known this, then I wouldn't have done that. Gathering information and being patient before you hop into something, especially when it comes to relationships, will always benefit you. Always. So use that as a lesson that even no matter how much you're ovulating and no matter how lubricated you are and how much you want this, you'll go get you that Tracy's dog, or you just rub one out in general and you satisfy yourself. And you also don't put yourself in temptation's way by going over to his place and being alone with him. A drizzle says, don't say a word. That's horrible advice. Don't do that. You better tell ZZ something, because the faster you can get ahead of it, you can explain it. You can have him hear it for the first time from you. You can have him have a better understanding of the situation and have some more context. And it's a lot. Hey, this is a word of advice for life. It's a lot easier for someone to stomach really tough information on a Tuesday afternoon when you guys are just casually talking than it is for someone to stomach that same information in the heat of an argument on a Saturday night when both of you are drunk. So I just say that to say it's always going to be more beneficial for you to jump ahead of an issue that you know will be an issue, so that you can have that conversation in a environment where things are calm, where he can be better equipped to receive that from you, than it is to have that conversation after he hears it from his boy in a party and they all make fun of him for, dating the girl who literally this one boy in the friend group slept with on the second night and didn't buy her anything or do anything for her. Because by the time he feels that emasculated and embarrassed by having that happen to him, and you try to explain to him everything that happened or whatever, you're literally going to have no chance and no opportunity to get anywhere. Okay. So for the people that say in the chat, deny it, I would advise you to never want this is coming to you from a guy. I'd advise you to not listen to those people, because they're setting you up for absolute failure. Because what's going to happen is, when he does find that out in the future, it's going to be way worse. And you're going to have built a 1 or 2 year relationship with the guy who then realizes that this was all built on a lie that you never told him, or you omitted that you knew he would want to know. And then what's going to happen? He's going to say, oh, great. Now I'm breaking up with you. Or even worse than that, he's going to take a mental note of that and he's going to begin cheating on you or mistreating you, because he resents the fact that you lied to him for so long. So you'll play yourself deeply if you want to choose to deny it and thinking that it'll just get swept under the rug. That you'll really play yourself. Okay. Next here we have, let's see here. We'll do one more. Okay. So we have Nay. Oh, like a Enlightened Nay? Okay. Is she here today? Is Enlightened Nay here today in the chat? So Enlightened Nay says, so in my last message, you said that my guy BF is in love with me. 100% he was in love with you. I always wondered if he was, but I just told myself that he isn't. I've always liked him and wanted us to be together. I thought he's your guy best friend. Is that how you're supposed to feel about your guy best friend? But at the same time, I asked him a few years ago why he doesn't have a girlfriend yet, and he said that he isn't ready for a relationship right now. So that's why, like I said in my last message, I told him in May that I can't have male friends because I'm waiting on my husband, that we could still talk every now and then. I just don't want any man around me just so we can be chit-chatting all the time without any intention of a relationship that'll eventually lead to marriage, because what's the point? You're right. What is the point? I know some of you get obsessed with, Tomisin, we should be able to have friends. There's nothing wrong with having friends. There's nothing wrong with having friends. Look, I can acknowledge that there's nothing particularly wrong with having friends in general. But the idea that your close friend, like your best friend, is going to be someone of the opposite sex, right? That you guys are such close best friends that you talk every day, hang out all the time, tell each other everything, confide in each other. Like at a certain point, it becomes like, well, what are we actually doing here? Because if we're having the emotional intimacy of a relationship, but we're denying it being a relationship, well, what's actually going on here? Does one person want a relationship and the other person is not ready for one? Or is there because you have to understand at a certain point, it becomes difficult to justify continuing the relationship because, like Nate just mentioned, what happens when you get a boyfriend? I don't think there are many boyfriends out there that will be okay with you having a guy in your life that you hang out with every single week or all the time, that you talk to every single day, call and speak on the phone with, FaceTime and all this stuff every single day, that you hang out with one-on-one. And so if that's the case, then what are you really doing here? If you're acknowledging that if you get into a relationship, that what you're doing here is inappropriate for being in a relationship with someone else. I don't think a friendship should be something that becomes inappropriate when you get into a relationship. Because if it's a true friendship, then the established, already existing dynamic of the friendship should not be, if it's a truly platonic friendship, then that means subsequently it shouldn't be appropriate to continue to have when you are dating someone new. So that tells you something right there if that would be an issue if you were dating someone, okay? And I think Nay is realizing that, which is why she said that to him. Plus, if I kept talking to him like we usually did, I'd just be wasting more of my time hoping that one day things would be how I want them to be, and also my feelings for him would only keep growing. 100% right. And I know for some of you, this is a really painful thing to come to a realization of, because when you spend so much time invested in someone, you don't want to be like, okay, I have to cut you off now. But the reality of it is you only end up hurting yourself, being more and more emotionally invested in that person, waiting for something to happen. Okay. I also know that when you're in a relationship or marriage, there is no such thing as men and women friends because it's inappropriate. So that's why I had made the decision with him, even though it was hard, but I have to make decisions that better my future and be intentional about my time and energy 100,000%. And I know that this is hard. I'm not saying this out of my butt because I'm like, guys, do this. And meanwhile, it's so much harder than I'm actually saying it, right? I know that this is really hard, but in the long run, you'll be happier that you didn't waste all of that time invested in truthfully, in a version of a relationship that just goes nowhere. Because how long can you continue to basically have emotional intimacy with someone who's not your boyfriend, knowing that you're not going to be able to have that emotional intimacy with that person anyways when you get a boyfriend? In regards to seeing him in person, he can't come here to the U.S. for another 4 years. Even more of a reason why, what's the point? And I can't travel anywhere until I get my passport, so we're at a stalemate. Again, what's the point? And I want to remind you guys, not to turn you guys into pessimists, like your soulmate isn't necessarily your soulmate because they live in a different city or country than you. Love is also logistics. And if logistically you guys can't make it work to like see each other and spend time with each other, then you have to realize that maybe this just isn't the relationship for you. Okay? He has tried to see me a lot when he was in the US and we were planning to link. But like I said in my last message, things just never worked out. He has asked me before, when is he going to be able to see me when he was back in Canada? But like I said, I'm still trying to get my passport. So what are your thoughts about all of this that I'm saying? He isn't ready for a relationship, but you said that he's in love with me. I always thought that he just cared about me a lot and loved me a lot as a friend, but nothing romantic like how I feel, because he said that he isn't ready. So it's confusing. Thanks again for your help. You sent this. So I hope you're here today, Enlightening. So to answer your question, the reason that guys will show that they like you and then not actually commit to you in some cases is really because they just don't have the balls or the cojones to go for what they want. Unfortunately, while there are some really go-getter men out there, some men that will problem solve and figure out how to get what they want by any means necessary, there are more men, majority of men, that won't do that. And when things become a little bit too hard or a little bit too challenging, they'll simply give up. The reality of it is that you're going to meet some men in your life, Because of that, you're going to meet some men that even if they like you, they just aren't prepared to be able to do something hard, to be able to do the work, whether it be because it's scary to start dating someone and be in a relationship and build, whether it's scary to, have all that commitment and go from ground zero and figure out how to make things work and make adjustments and compromise. Whatever the reason may be, you're going to come across men that even if they like you and they want things to work out, they just don't have the balls or the cojones to do it and make it happen. And unfortunately, and I'm saying this because it really does happen a lot, unfortunately, what you have to realize as a woman is that you can't do anything with that. You can't. Yes, it's sad. And I see some of you saying even more sad. It is sad and it's unfortunate, but as a woman, it's not your job to make him intentional. It's not your job to say, I'm so sad for you that you don't want to do hard things or take risks, right? Or figure out where things go in our relationship, so you're just not even going to try. It's not your job to do that. It's also really not your job to feel sorry for him that he can't take the risk of building this relationship with you. Because the reality of it is we only live this life once. You only live YOLO, right? And if he's not going to be prepared to take a leap of faith and really just try at something and try to build this into something, you can't do nothing with that. You really can't. You really can't. Like we talk about all the time, in a relationship, your man that you end up with, that you marry, is going to have to be able to lead you and lead your children as well, right? You're also going to have your input as well, but he's going to be leading you. And if you're not with a man that is capable of being intentional and capable of going for what he wants, how are you supposed to stand by that leader? That's not a leader. That's someone that's going to lead you right off of a cliff. You have to be with a man that has direction and also knows how to get there and move forward in a positive direction. If that man can't do something as simple as acknowledge that he wants you and make efforts to try to make this work, Enlightened Nate, it's just not much you can do with that. Not much you can do with that. And not much you should want to do with that, because that's not your place to be doing that work for him. Like I say, unfortunately, that's a lot of men. But the bright side is not every woman in the world is watching the Players Club for now. So you are in the minority of women that understand better how men think and what to look for. So you all can snatch up all the amazing, functional, direction-filled, intentional men, and everyone else who is unintentional, all those men can be left to the women who don't watch the Players Club. That's the best part for you. That's the good news for all of you. So you have the opportunity to find those men, because they are out there, and you'll be equipped with the knowledge and things that we discuss in the Players Club to be able to find and attract those men. Okay, guys? All right, guys, that's the show for today. I hope you guys got some value from that. For those of you who didn't get a chance to get your question answered, don't you worry whatsoever. We're going to, I'm going to be here all the time, literally every weekday. And I will answer your question very soon. And if you want to skip the line, you can do so by heading over into the VIP section of our VIP premium relationship advice section. You just have to donate to the show first. And you do that by hopping in the link in my bio on TikTok or the link in my description on YouTube. You'll see where it says premium relationship advice. All you got to do when you donate to the show, you put in your message, the title of your question and your Discord username so that I can verify that that's you who has donated to the show. Okay? For those of you who want to follow me on YouTube, on Instagram, because you love me so much, you want to see everything that I'm doing at all times of the day, my Instagram username is right. I having brain farts. My Instagram username is right on the top left corner of the screen there above my head. You can see it there. And for those of you who are on YouTube, it's right on the bottom right screen right there for you to follow me as well. For those of you who are on TikTok and you want to rewatch the show because you came late and you missed some parts of the show, you want to rewatch it, it's all available on my YouTube page because I'm live at the same time. You just type in my name on YouTube above my head on the right side of the screen, and you'll be able to go in the live section, and then you'll be able to see this show along with all the other live shows that I've ever done in the past. And the best part is you'll have the YouTube and the TikTok live chat chat embedded in the video so that you never miss a moment of conversation that's happening in the live stream. Okay. I am here every weekday, Monday to Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time exactly. So if you want to look out for when you're going to be able to catch me again, right on schedule, it will come at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you got to figure out what time that is in your time zone. Okay. Until then, arrivederci, au revoir, hasta la vista, adios, goodbye, bon voyage. And I will see you again tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. I love you so much, so much. Have a great rest.